Hi. So, how have you been feeling this week? Anything exciting happened that you'd like to start off the session with?
Well, it's been very stressful, um, especially with my brother who has Tourette's. He sometimes on an almost daily basis has these huge rages where he can sometimes get violent and other times is just verbally degrading and saying all these things that we know he doesn't always mean, but still has a huge impact on like your mental state.
So, are they like targeted at you? You feel like is this a thing that you two struggle with personally, or is it just an aspect of the day? Like, is it just like a family aspect, kind of how things go on a daily basis?
Well, it's not usually directed at me. It's more often directed at both of my parents. So they take most of it. Occasionally, it will be directed at me. Um, but when it is, it's not to the point where it is, especially with my mom.
Mm.
She really takes she takes most of all of it, if I'm being completely honest.
So you said how he says a lot of hurtful things that can be mentally taxing, and that's kind of a form of like violence in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how it feels. And you said that you know that he often doesn't mean it. Do you think
Yes.
that is kind of where it's hard to struggle, because you obviously are very in your right to be, it's personal sometimes, as I understand. So it's in your right to be upset and emotional, and you know it's taxing, but it's hard to not take it personally. Kind of finding the medium of how you're navigating that is kind of what you're thinking.
Yeah, because like it really hurts to hear, but you feel bad, like being upset about it, because you know that he doesn't really mean it, and it's not something that he can always help.
Mm-hmm. How old is your brother?
Almost 13.
Okay, so it's hard to see him go through that too, obviously,
Yes.
because as you're saying, it's hard to watch and also hard to take.
Mm-hmm.
Is it hard to kind of know when he can and cannot help it at all? Is
Very much so. Because the problem is there's almost always context to it. So just with it being about something that happened, it's hard to wrap your mind around the fact that he doesn't mean it. Especially when it's directed at you or someone that you care about. And especially with how often it happens.
It seems like you kind of have a good wrap around the feel for the patterns and of the way of looking at things. Have you talked to your family in like a group discussion at all? Like, do you talk openly about how you feel about this?
I've talked to my mom a bit. I've also talked to my sister and my grandmother about it. But I think we really do need to sit down as a family and discuss how we can make things more, I don't want to say more better, because that doesn't really sound right.
More better, right.
But more better.
More functional for
everybody. More functional, more, if not better, then more tolerable at least.
As a whole.
As a whole.
Is that the main stressor on was it worse this week? Is it on a weekly reoccurring?
It wasn't as bad this week as it is most weeks. But it's still tough every week.
Mm-hmm.
Some weeks it'll be every single day. Some weeks it'll be just one time that week. But even if it is just that one time that week, when that happens, that one time is usually especially bad.
We've talked in previous about just your overall daily stress levels, managing anxiety and such. Do you feel at all that this adds to your personal anxiety? Do you think that this adds to your personal anxiety just as a way of, if you're already having an off day, do you think this obviously isn't something that is a peaceful situation to walk into and try to navigate?
I mean, yes. However, I feel like just in general, I tend to not be as stressed out or anxious about most things that I should be, or that most people are very much affected by, which, in my opinion, I really like, because I don't lose my mind over everything that's going on, whereas I feel like a lot of people would.
Mm-hmm.
It's really a lot for most people to deal with, and sometimes I'm almost, I don't want to say unmoved by it, but a lot less moved by it than I feel like I should be.
You can still get your,
Yeah.
you can still put yourself as a priority and
Mm-hmm.
get your daily weeks of work done. That's good. So, I guess moving forward, from what I'm hearing is a group discussion would help your feelings feel heard and just open up, for change in what you're, having some tenseness in your situation about.
Definitely. I feel like that's definitely the best course of action.
Awesome.
Was going to say something and I forget what it was.
Good.